Thanks for joining us. I'm Megan Roberts. We begin tonight in Nunavut, where a man accused of killing a 15-year-old girl in Iqaluit will likely face trial next year. Jopi Atsiktak is charged with the second-degree murder of Marianne Birmingham. He appeared in court on Tuesday via video call. Atsiktak's lawyer says a trial date will most likely take place next year. Atsiktak was arrested last year. The arrest came 38 years after Birmingham's murder. Atsiktak remains in custody but intends to seek bail. The scheduling of the trial will be discussed next month. Police in Yellowknife were sent to Mildred Hall School today after reports of a 13-year-old student threatening others with a knife. Police say the situation posed a risk to students and staff, and their response included the police dog team. Police say the school was locked down immediately, and officers were able to seize the knife. The 13-year-old was brought to Stanton Territorial Hospital to receive what police describe in a press release as proper care. They say no students or staff were injured. The 2025 federal election is just under 2 weeks away, and there could be some road bumps on the way for people in Nunavut. Voters in the territory may get their information cards a few days late. These are the cards with information about polling stations and how to request assistance. They're normally mailed out before advanced polls, but Elections Canada says they're delayed in Nunavut because of earlier difficulties in securing polling locations. A spokesperson for Elections Canada says the cards are useful, but they don't stop you from being able to vote.
It's convenient, but you don't need to have it. What you can do, if you have good internet access, is you could just type your postal code in on our voter information service, and it will tell you where you're going to vote. If you don't have good internet access and you want to get this information by phone, you can call the local returning office, or we have a toll-free number too.
And that toll-free number is 1-800-463-6868. Canada's sovereignty is on the minds of many voters. People who live in the Arctic say you can't claim sovereignty without greater investments in the North. Investments in housing, internet, roads, and of course, the people who have always lived here. Juanita Taylor traveled to Rankin Inlet, Nunavut to hear what Nunavummiut say is long overdue.
The gateway to the North. That's what Rankin Inlet, Nunavut is known for, where everyone knows everyone. Spring is starting to return in this hamlet of about 3,000 people. But there's a hidden yet well-known crisis here. There's not enough houses for everyone. Hi! Forcing families like the Inukshuks to live in overcrowded homes. We stop in just as Violet Inukshuk is making lunch for 19 people who all live here in this 4-bedroom house. What are you making for lunch today, Violet?
We're gonna have boiled shrimps, boiled mussel, and ramatak.
Yum. Maktak, or skin from beluga whale in Inuktitut, is a favorite. Her growing family is fed a combination of traditional and store-bought food. How does it feel for you? Like you mentioned, one of your sons moved away because of the overcrowding. He moved to Nauja.
It was, in a way, it was a relief, but then I miss him.
I'm sorry. Violet and her husband Wesley gave up their bedroom.
I have 7 people in here.
So that their grown children and their families will have a place to sleep.
This is where we keep our beds.
Their mattress tucked away in the porch until bedtime.
Try our best to work it out. It gets hard.
The territorial government says a severe housing crisis is plaguing all 25 communities. While the Inukshuks wait for more housing, they all try and make it work. Do you guys know how long it's going to take until they get a housing unit?
No.
It's a long wait. 9 years, maybe 8 years.
Maybe 8. And now our second oldest daughter applied for a housing unit last year. She's still waiting.
A report released by the Nunavut Housing Corporation shows Rankin Inlet listed as critical. The territory is attempting to build 3,000 units across Nunavut by 2030. People here hope this election will see significant investment in infrastructure projects like housing, thanks to a renewed focus on the north. Party leaders flew to Iqaluit even before the election was called, all promising to invest more in the Arctic.
We must invest in Canada's north to defend our sovereignty.
Canada's Arctic is under threat.
So when we talk about investing in Arctic defense, that means investing in Arctic communities.
In Nunavut, all 25 communities rely on diesel that gets shipped in every summer, fuel to power the town and heat homes.
To your right, there's 2 large fuel tanks.
At Sakku Investments in Rankin Inlet, its president and CEO, David Kakuktingnek, is working to change that. The Inuit-led corporation wants to build the first hydrofiber link connecting the north to the south.
You see all the power lines here. Every building will have a power drop to it, and that provides for the lighting. I think everywhere else in modern Canada and other areas, it's integrated.
I like how you say modern Canada. It almost makes me feel like we're not in modern Canada now.
We're not. We're in a third world state with the infrastructure that we have.
The Kivalliq Hydro Fiber Link project is a 1,200-kilometer link from Manitoba's electricity grid and communications network to 5 Nunavut communities and 2 mines.
I'm hoping everybody's going to wake up and realize just the significance of providing this type of critical infrastructure.
Good for Inuit and all of Canada.
From within Churchill into this grid, we would radio out.
The project still needs environmental assessment and $1 billion from Ottawa.
Information sharing.
The buzz at this year's Nunavut Mining Symposium in Iqaluit was Arctic sovereignty, says Vice President of the Northwest Territories and Nunavut Chamber of Mines, Alex Buchan.
What we're seeing now is more of a broader interest in our sector, the mining sector, how mining can contribute to Canadian use of Arctic and Canadian sovereignty.
Like the Grays Bay Road and Port Project, the road would link up to the Northwest Territories Winter Road through Nunavut's mineral-rich terrain, all the way to the Arctic Ocean, reinforcing Arctic sovereignty and defense. Nunavut Premier PJ Akeruk has been telling leaders across North America that they can't have Arctic sovereignty without investing in the Arctic.
Now, I think Canadians are waking up to the reality that the North is a vital part of the country, and that we are Canadians, just any Canadian is in southern Canada.
The North has a chance to describe its own future.
Ken Coates is an Arctic security expert. He says Canada needs nation-building projects now.
So we need to have nation-building projects that basically get all Canadians to realize that developing the North carefully and cautiously in league and in partnership with Indigenous people will actually be good for Canada as a whole. It'll spark economic development. It will make us more prosperous. It'll make us way more secure.
This is a go-to house place. Go, go, go.
Back in Rankin Inlet at the Inukshuk household, the family is making the best of the space they have while they wait for housing.
What would you say to any of the politicians that are running in this election? They all say that they're going to do something about the housing situation in the North.
I think I would just say right up front, prove it. I want to see it done in front of me. Show me now.
That was the CBC's Juanita Taylor. And tonight, Juanita will be hosting the National Live from Yellowknife, so be sure to tune in to that. Let's go to the Yukon now, where our colleagues in Whitehorse are setting up for an important event tonight. Candidates vying for the Yukon seat in the federal election will take part in a CBC-hosted forum. We will ask them about the issues that matter the most to you. Longtime CBC host Dave White is one of the moderators for this forum. He joined me earlier to talk about what you can expect from tonight's discussion. Dave, welcome to Northbeat.
Nice to be here. Thank you very much.
So, what are the key issues that you've been hearing from Yukon voters in this election? I know we've been talking to a lot of people across the North, but what are you hearing?
Well, it's the same thing, I think, that is really countrywide. People are worried about the economy. People are worried about housing. That's a big one, as you know, here in Whitehorse. It's a massive issue. The cost of housing is just out of control, and just generally affordability. Arctic sovereignty is something I think that everybody in this region is thinking about, and we've heard promises from some of the parties to increase the military presence in this region. One of the things that I think is fairly unique to the Yukon is the relationship that we have with Alaska. As you know, Alaska is right next door. We do a lot of things with Alaskans. We have events that kind of cross the border, and so the ongoing issue with Donald Trump and the tariffs and those concerns, it's something that is affecting Yukon and Yukoners pretty much every day. So we're anxious to hear, people here are anxious to find out where the parties stand on that issue and where they think there might be some room to make things a little bit better. So we're going to put all those questions to the four candidates that are joining us tonight and find out what they have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. The Alaska border issue is something that's so unique to the Yukon in the north because you can just drive over to Skagway, you can go to Haines, and people do all the time for long weekends, like the Easter long weekend coming up. I can imagine some people may be thinking about going there. You mentioned that you're going to bring up these issues to the candidates tonight. Tell us more about what's planned for the forum.
Well, we are treating it as a forum, not a debate. We'll be putting questions directly to each of the four candidates. We'll be getting the responses. We'll hear from the other candidates as well. Things are going to be a little bit free, I think a little bit loose, because we've heard a lot of things in this campaign, but we haven't heard a lot of things locally here in the Yukon. We haven't heard a lot of direct responses. So this is a good a chance to put that to the four candidates and find out where they stand, and if there are some nuances in the party's national platform that maybe we're not hearing about or we don't fully understand here. So, and I imagine there will be some back and forth between the different candidates as they get into it, get a little more comfortable with the format, and maybe we'll get a little, maybe we'll have a heated debate, Megan. We'll see.
I love to hear it. I love having everyone in the same room and having that togetherness and that opportunity for a conversation. It's so important to get people together to have that. And with that being said, which candidates are going to be attending tonight?
Well, I'm happy to say we have all four. We have, current MP Brendan Hanley, who represents the Liberal Party, Catherine McCollum from the NDP. We're going to hear from Gabrielle Dupont, who is the Green Party, and Ryan Leaf from the Conservative Party has agreed to join us as well. So the four people whose names are on the ballot will all be in the studio with me this evening.
Okay. So for Yukoners who want to tune into the forum, or other people as well who might be interested, tell us when it starts and how we can listen or watch it.
It starts at 6:30 sharp Pacific time, and we'll be on the radio, of course. You'll also be able to watch it on our website, and we'll be on YouTube as well. So we'll be monitoring the comments on YouTube as well. So maybe we'll get a few questions from the audience there, because unfortunately, with the short time frame and some other issues, we weren't able to do this as a public event. So it's just in our studio. So we'll be looking for, we've got a lot of questions that we've gathered over the course of covering the election campaign. We'll be putting them to the candidates, those questions, and maybe we'll hear from some people on social media, on YouTube, and get those fresh questions out there as well.
Really looking forward to it. I know I'll be tuning in. Dave, thank you so much, and have fun at the forum tonight.
Thank you. I will.
Well, you heard it from Dave, but here it is again. All the places you can tune into the CBC Yukon Election Forum that is happening tonight at 6:30 p.m. Yukon time. You can listen on CBC Radio 1 or through the CBC Listen app. You can watch it live on cbc.ca/north or youtube.com/cbcnorth. And one more look at Dave just for the road there. In the Northwest Territories, there are also 4 candidates hoping to win the riding. One of them is the NDP's Kelvin Cochillia. This is his second run for Parliament. He narrowly lost to Liberal MP Michael McLeod in 2021. Here he is explaining his platform for this election.
A big thing would be the 3 AIPs in the sense of land claim negotiation and self-governing for the Dicho, Quechua, Métis Nation, as well as the Mackenzie Valley Highway that's going to tackle the high cost of living in the Sawtooth region with their unpredictability with the ferry operation and viability of the winter road. It's seasonal. And housing. What I want to do with housing is that we have to start looking at getting trades into our communities so that we have people in the communities that can become electricians, carpenters, plumbers. It's a lost skill set that's not reaching our communities. And even if people from the communities leave south, sometimes they fall victim to peer pressure and go into the wrong groups, or sometimes they don't come back, which is sad, disheartening. And I had to leave my community twice, and it's not easy transitioning outside of your community. It's a culture shock. I was very fortunate that I came out of it very successfully, but I truly believe that we have to bring these opportunities to our communities and our regions.
That is the NDP's Northwest Territories candidate, Kelvin Cochillia. As we gear up for Election Day on April 28th, we want to know what matters to you. Dave and I talked a little bit about some of the conversations that we've been having across the North. We also hit the streets of Inuvik, Fort Smith, and Yellowknife to find out what's on voters' minds in the NWT.
What are some of the important issues for you right now?
The rising food prices is one of the bigger ones. Also, I guess housing. I'm a millennial, and my dreams of wanting to own a home are being quickly dashed.
Income inequality is a big thing for me. I think one of the biggest things is to tax the rich just 1%, tax the higher income earners in our society.
We need change. I mean, it's been terrible the way it's going, and I'm just looking forward to change.
That they get their act together and get Canada back on track.
I think the territorial and federal governments need to step in and ensure that housing rates are addressed. I mean, in some northern communities, the disparities between populations that have housing provided with employment and without employment are as big as 30%. And I just think that needs to go beyond work. It's something that you need to live. So it shouldn't just be tied to a job. There should be house constructions or social housing or whatever is required just to give people a place to be comfortable and safe.
My income is not enough to support my family anymore. Everybody is struggling to make ends meet. And the way things are going right now, everyone's counting every penny. The cost of living is getting higher every day. And really, workers are not able to make ends meet. So we really have to secure work for every type of worker in the territory, right?
The claims period for 2 classes in the First Nations Child and Family Services and Jordan's Principal Settlement is now open.
First Nations children who were removed from their homes on reserve between April 1st, 1991 and March 31st, 2022, and their caregiving parents and caregiving grandparents can now submit a claim for compensation.
There are free supports to help you fill out your form.
And mental health and wellness supports if you need them.
Learn more and submit your claim at fnchildclaims.ca.
The federal election is on Monday, April 28th. You can vote early. Advanced polls will be open April 18th to 21st. If you prefer, you can vote at any Elections Canada office until Tuesday, April 22nd, 6 p.m., or you can apply to vote by mail. Check your voter information card or visit elections.ca for all the ways you can vote. It's our vote.
For the official information you need to vote, visit elections.ca or call 1-800-463-6868.
Are you an aspiring songwriter? Do you want your song to be part of Nunavut's cultural heritage? Let's celebrate 10 years of Inuktitut songwriting with this year's themes, Piruk sa Tilunga and Inuit Sanasimayangit. For contest rules and more information about Kilo 2025, visit www.gov.nu.ca. The deadline for submissions is May 5, 2025.
Residents of Pevernatuck in Quebec's Nunavik region are being forced to go days without water delivery. That's due to a frozen pipeline that connects the village to its water source. Now, its mayor has made a plea to the Government of Canada, asking for adequate funding. Samuel Watt has the story.
Water in Pevernatuck hasn't been flowing through its main pipeline since March 17th. That's when it was found frozen after an extended blizzard. To this day, it still hasn't thawed. Mayor Lucy Halingo says it's leaving some families high and dry.
Some of the households, they're not receiving any water delivery for up to a week.
The 5-kilometre long pipe runs south of the village to the raw water pumping station, so the council now has to send trucks there to collect water. That's problematic for several reasons. The road there is icy, it's far away, and 2 out of 5 water trucks are currently out of service. So the village now has to crowdsource for help from the school, the hospital, even Hydro-Quebec.
We had to ask other organizations if they could help us to have workers on fleet.
Water and sewage issues in Pevernatuck are not new. They've forced local schools to shut down several times since 2023, and they affect the village's ability to fill critical job vacancies. The Kativik Regional Government says there are delays in getting parts to repair those water trucks, and it's looking at another way to get water temporarily flowing in the coming months. But Halingo says the solution starts at the top. Money from the federal government.
We are Canadians. We deserve the same treatment than from other provinces.
As of October 2024, the regional government has approved more than $53 million for water infrastructure, and funding that, Indigenous Services Canada says, is provincial responsibility. Samuel Watt, CBC News, Iqaluit.
More than 100 people gathered at Yellowknife's Capitol Theatre for a screening of No Other Land. The Oscar-winning documentary was made by Palestinian and Israeli filmmakers. The event was organized by YK Citizens for Ceasefire, a local advocacy group calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. The CBC's Nadir Hashmi has more from the screening.
The audience came together not just for the film, but for what it represents, a shared concern for human rights in Gaza. The film won the 2025 Oscar for Best Documentary Feature. It told the story of a Palestinian community displaced by Israeli forces to make way for a military fire range in the West Bank. One of the attendees says the documentary left a deep impact on her.
What stood out is the trauma, the fear that Palestinians live with day to day. You know, it is, as the Israeli member of the film crew said, I have all of these rights, but my colleague and his people have none of these rights.
Little says it reminded her how fragile human rights can be and the importance of speaking up. With the upcoming federal elections late April, some who attended the film say the Palestinian conflict is top of their minds, adding that a candidate's stance on the issue will influence how they vote.
I would like to know who stands behind Palestine and who doesn't. That greatly influences my vote.
We really have to get off the fence, and there's got to be some concrete position taking and commitments.
A panel discussion followed the screening. Attendees talked about how even after winning an Oscar award, the documentary still hasn't found a major US distributor.
I think that is a sign that there is some level of censorship of the message that this film is presenting.
Proceeds from the screening will go towards the Yellowknife Well of Hope project, but at the moment, the well usage is on hold.
The well has been drilled. There is a pause in the usage right now because Israel has reoccupied Gaza after they broke the ceasefire. But so, the well is there, the infrastructure is there, we hope is safe.
Lam says people living in the area of that well had to evacuate as there's been a siege in Gaza for over a month. So no fuel is going in to run the pumps and generators.
We feel really proud that this money was raised, that we're leaving this permanent piece of infrastructure that ties Yellowknife to Gaza.
Though close to the $50,000 target for the well, Lam says they're going to continue fundraising as people on the ground still need it for their day-to-day lives. Nadir Hashmi, CBC News, Yellowknife.
The Nunavut quest is officially underway. 8 mushers have started the challenging trek from Pond Inlet to Igloolik. Prize money is supplied by the Kikitani Truth Commission. This year's top prizes are $20,000 for first place, $15,000 for second, and $10,000 for third. It is a long, grueling race, but the mushers won't be entirely alone. There's a group of people on snowmobiles clearing a path, and one of them is Elder Charlie Inuarak.
There are certain rules that we follow from the start to the next camp and so on. Mushers get help from the skidoo drivers as there are lots of people going on this trip. If many mushers are participating, there are a certain amount of skidoos that are required.
Shan Tian is the race timekeeper. She traveled the race route from Igloolik and says the terrain is definitely challenging.
The trail is a little bit rough in places. The sea ice can be a little rough from here to Milne Inlet, and the snow is very hard packed this year compared to previous years. And the traverse across Baffin Island has some really deep snow areas in the valley and lots of rolling hills, lots of climbing to do for the mushers and the skidoo drivers.
The mushers will be traveling between 50 and 80 kilometers a day. They're expected to arrive in Igloolik in a week. Well, let's look one more time at where you can tune in to the CBC Yukon Election Forum tonight. You can listen to it on CBC Radio 1 or the Listen app. And you can also watch on cbc.ca/north or youtube.com/CBC North. And that is all happening at 6:30 p.m. Yukon time. That is Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, go to cbc.ca/north. Thank you for watching. I'm Megan Roberts. Have a good night.
By voting NDP, you've helped to build this country. Healthcare for families, pensions for workers. And even when we're not in power, do Democrats get things done for people, like dental care? It's because of you. Because you vote NDP, we can make life better for ordinary people, not the billionaires, and stand up to any government that wants to cut the things that we value. Vote NDP and make sure we're there, fighting for our kind of Canada, fighting for you.
Hi, it's Yaya.
Am I a loser?
No job, no home.
No clue.
Billy.
I need a fresh start. No. Hire me. I want to make our community a better place.
Sup, kids? I got a drug dealer.